Welcome. Let's examine an example of a Lightning Tendrils build. It's a build that uses Lightning Tendrils skill that has been significantly buffed in patch 3.21. This channeling lightning spell is available at level 1, but the version used in this guide requires this skill gem to be of phantasmal quality to take advantage of the guaranteed critical strikes with stronger pulses. A critical strike is guaranteed to occur every 3 pulses. Although the offensive capabilities are impressive, it's the defensive layers that are the most pronounced. You can redirect all cold, lightning, and a portion of physical damage to be taken as fire and chaos. Then, increase only these resistances. We've decided to use Doryani's prototype body armor, which makes nearby enemies have lightning resistance equal to that of our character. There are a few ways to mitigate the still deadly lightning DOTs, all relying on redirecting lightning damage to be taken as some other type of damage. You could use Tempered by War from Lethal Pride and Divine Flesh from Exile's Machination, or equip Dawnbreaker's Shield, Sublime Vision for Purity of Fire. Tempered by War makes it much harder to dig deeper into the negative values of lightning resistance, so it's the inferior choice. Lightning Tendrils consists of regular hits, but every 3 pulses it releases an extremely powerful one, which is the main damage dealer. It allows us to implement Controlled Destruction Support Gem and Mary Len's Fallacy Amulet, which severely reduces critical strike chance but in turn, grants much more damage. The build is extremely tanky. We've reached 90% chaos resistance, 80% fire resistance, over 70% physical damage reduction, attack and block chance exceeding 50%, and that's all on top of Petrified Blood, Progenesis, and Life Recoup. You will take no cold or lightning damage at all. Clear speed is not very good. It usually requires Oriath's End or Profane Bloom for adequate performance. Single target damage is great if you manage to lower your own lightning resistance enough. The price is high, especially the version we've used that is worth over 100 divines, mostly due to Flasks and Sublime Vision, which are not really required. The mandatory unique items are Doryani's prototype and Mary Len's Fallacy, but we recommend equipping more of them: Algor Mortis, Venter's Gamble, and Immortal Flesh. Exile's Machination can be used in combination with Tempered by War from Lethal Pride. Note that the Divine Flesh will make Mind over Matter useless when combined with Eldritch Battery. There's a lot to unpack on Exile's Machination. It makes your energy shield obsolete, but you need to leech or gain it by means other than regenerating or recharging if you want 5% extra maximum elemental resistances or use it as mana. The Divine Flesh keystone from it is also obtainable by Glorious Vanity, but you can't have it this way if you want Tempered by War too, as you can have only one historic jewel. Dawnbreaker redirects cold, lightning, and physical damage to be taken as fire. The 20%, combined with 50% from Tempered by War or Divine Flesh, makes it 70%. The remaining 30% can be obtained from Sublime Vision, which is very expensive. Doryani's prototype makes your lightning resistance apply to nearby enemies' resistance too. You might think that equipping this with a lot of armor would make you good to go, but there are some lighting dots in the game, most notably the Mana Siphoner's rare monsters, Barons, and Shaper's attack. Algor Mortis gloves do have some lightning resistance, but the upsides make them still the best offensive option. You have to be sure that the enemy is on chilled ground to deal more and receive less damage. If you're using Exile's Machination Shield, Demon Stitcher gloves will make it easy to gain a lot of energy shield to activate the Everlasting Sacrifice bonus. Mary Len's Fallacy is simply the best amulet for a build that has a way to consistently and deterministically strike critically. It has a lot of crit multiplier and lowers crit chance. Venter's Gamble. These rings are one of the very few ways to reduce your own lightning resistance. That is if they're well rolled. Immortal Flesh is the belt we would recommend if you're not using Exile's Machination. It makes the enormous bonus to life regen useless. It has a lot of maximum life and can reduce lightning resistance by another 25%. Lethal Pride. The Rakiata variant can get you Tempered by War keystone. It's not very good with Doryani's prototype, but still fine if you value defenses more than damage. It's also cheaper than acquiring Sublime Vision. The Zybequa variant of Glorious Vanity gets you Divine Flesh. It redirects 50% of all elemental damage to be taken as Chaos, plus 5% to maximum Chaos resistance, and makes your energy shield useless for purposes of mitigating any damage. Thread of Hope allows you to allocate passives disconnected from your tree and lowers your resistances by up to 20%. You probably won't need it, but it can be used in various places. Medium Ring near Endurance, Overcharge lets you allocate Divine Judgment and Arcane Capacitor. Melding of the Flesh massively lowers your lightning resistance, but be careful, it will lower your fire and maximum fire resistance too, which may lead to your downfall. Sublime Vision. 30% of cold and lightning damage taken as fire damage while affected by Purity of Fire, is an extremely valuable variant of this jewel. If you can afford it, it'd be great. Increased lightning damage with Wrath, or any discipline or determination modifiers on a Watcher's Eye are good. The Purity of Fire mod you want is 6 to 10% of physical damage from hits taken as fire damage while affected by Purity of Fire. Your focus is to reduce your own lightning resistance by 140%. You won't take any cold or lightning damage, so you won't need these resistances. Instead, try to gather as much maximum chaos and fire resistance as you can. On the rest of your gear, try to also acquire armor, maximum life, increased life regeneration rate, dexterity, and strength. Life recoup is great with Petrified Blood. Get it on rings or from Vampirism Notable. You will probably need a lot of dexterity on a helmet, but don't forget to also get armor and maximum life. Chaos and fire resistance may be needed too. Also, try to get the affix to take physical damage as some other kind of damage. Wand, Scepter, or Dagger with increased gem level to all spell or lightning spells will be great. You may also find modifiers for crit multiplier, cast speed, lightning damage, and general spell damage. It may be hard to accumulate all the needed attributes or resistances, so using rare gloves may be necessary. As was the case with helmet and gloves, seek life, specific resistances, attributes, armor, and life regeneration on your boots. Here you will also need movement speed. Rings are a great source of attributes and resistances. Added or increased lightning damage can be found here too, but ultimately Venter's Gamble rings are much better. A belt with a lot of maximum life, strength, and resistances will do fine. Armor and flask modifiers are common here, these might be of use. We recommend 2 large cluster jewels to make space for 4 small ones. You may find the notables listed here useful. Born of Chaos increases your maximum chaos resistance by 3%, and anti-venom by 1%. With Divine Flesh, 3 Born of Chaos, and 1 anti-venom, your chaos resistance is 90%, that's a hard cap. Proper rare jewels are extremely powerful. Seek Critical Strike multiplier for lightning spells with maximum life in here. Oriath's End is good only for clearing as it grants 35% lightning resistance. It's the easiest way to increase clear speed, makes enemies explode. Progenesis is an extremely good flask to mitigate incoming hit damage. It pairs well with life recoup or simply life regeneration. For other flasks, use a granite one with increased armor, as you still take quite a lot of physical damage, life flask with bleeding immunity, a quicksilver flask for mobility, or a ruby flask for durability. Lightning Tendrils is the only damaging ability that's used to deal lightning damage with stronger pulses. It's important to use the Phantasmal version. Link it with added lightning damage, empower, controlled destruction, increased critical damage, and, depending on your preferences, hypothermia, concentrated effect, or infused channeling support gems. If you can host more than 1 aura, that is if you don't have Sublime Vision, use Wrath, which simply grants more lightning damage. Determination adds and increases your armor to mitigate physical hit damage. If you have a Sublime Vision for the Purity of Fire, you should obviously use it as your sole aura. It grants fire resistance and maximum fire resistance. There are other spells to implement, which are not auras, but still reserve mana. Petrified Blood. If you're on low life, which you're supposed to be, it makes a portion of incoming damage to be taken as DOT instead. This DOT cannot be mitigated in any way, but it gives you time to regenerate or recoup it back. Use the anomalous version for better effect. Arctic armor chills enemies on hit, which is great with hypothermia support, leaves chilled ground when hit, which synergizes with Algor Mortis, makes you immune to freeze, and you take less fire and physical damage while stationary, which you are as you cast lightning tendrils. Herald of Thunder adds lightning damage to your spells and strikes nearby enemies, making it great for clearing. Otherwise, it's not very efficient to run this herald. Link the most expensive auras with enlightened support to lower mana cost. Tempest Shield simply grants a 26% chance to block spell damage. Use the Divergent version for an extra 2%. Tempest Shield will reserve slightly over half of your life instead of mana if you link it with Arrogant support, allowing you to reap the benefits of Petrified Blood Skill and Pain Attunement Keystone. We've used 2 Elementalist's Golem Keystones to have up to 3 golems with increased buff effects. Chaos Golem grants 4% additional physical damage mitigation. With anomalous quality and 2 aforementioned keystones, it grows by 145% to mitigate almost 10% instead, that's on top of your armor. Stone Golem regenerates your life over time much like Vitality. Flame Golem for increased damage can be used instead if you have Vol-packed Keystone. Lightning Golem increases the cast speed by 10%, which grows significantly with proper keystones and anomalous quality. Link them all with Meat Shield support to make them tanky and to keep them close. Flame Dash is a simple mobility skill to dodge attacks and move faster. Link it with Arcane Surge as it improves your cast speed and mana regeneration rate. Keep it at a low level so that a single cast of Flame Dash will activate it. Second Wind support has a very high mana cost multiplier, and allows you to store 1 more Flame Dash charge. Righteous Fire grants more spell damage while it's active. You should be able to withstand its life drain with your extremely high fire resistance and life regeneration, but you can also use only the Vol version for a temporary bonus. Molten Shell mitigates a portion of incoming hit damage. It scales up with your armor. You can link it with Cast when damage taken support if your movement key is already occupied by Vortex. Vortex is another optional gem. It creates a chilling area to chill enemies if need be, for Algor Mortis or hypothermia support. Enfeeble is the best defensive curse, makes the enemy deal less damage to you. It can be found as the unhit modifier on any pair of corrupted gloves. If you need more damage, use Punishment instead. Remember that conductivity does nothing with Doryani's prototype on. Kill all the bandits for the 2 additional skill points. Alira would be good if not for the extra lightning resistance. For a major god, we've selected the Brine King to prevent multiple stuns. It's great when using a channeling spell. The Soul of Tukahama is one of the best minor gods. It grants you an extra 3% of physical damage mitigation for each second you're stationary for up to a maximum of 9%. It regenerates life after an upgrade. Here on the passive skill tree, we've picked little to no lightning damage nodes. Instead, we've focused on general spell damage, critical strike multiplier, defenses, and cluster jewels. Try to avoid any bonuses to lightning resistances. The important keystones are Eldritch Battery and Pain Attunement. For masteries, pick extra 50 life as Life Mastery, life recoup over 3 seconds instead of 4 as Recovery Mastery, extra 1% maximum elemental resistance from Reservation Mastery, a 25% extra crit multiplier against unique enemies as Critical Mastery, and an additional chance to block per block chance on a shield as Shield Mastery, and the most important 10% of physical damage taken as Chaos damage as Armor and Energy Shield Mastery. You can also allocate mana reservation efficiency from Mana Mastery or reduce the mana cost of skills to make them cost 30% of life as another Life Mastery. That is all for now. You can use this guide as a base to try out other lightning damage builds. Stay safe and good luck.